And I'll
Yeah.
tell you a quick story about us starting the church, our church, Faith Bible Fellowship. You know, my wife came to me in one of a commercial buildings I owned, had about 10,000 square foot on one end. And I said, I think we ought to put a kitchen and bath center in there so that customers can come and pick out cabinetry, and we sell cabinetry and all this stuff. And she said, I think you're supposed to put a church there. And I go, well, okay, we're not, for me, I said, I don't feel like I've come far enough financially to be a pastor. I felt, basically I didn't want to be another guy who there's another preacher who's late on his bills or doesn't pay his bills or, and I said, I'm not doing it until our situation gets better. At which point she said, well, isn't that opposite of what you've been teaching us for however long, that we don't get cleaned up and come to Jesus. We come to Jesus and we get cleaned up. So I got in a vehicle and I was driving down the road and I was just sitting here saying, Lord, I want to do this, but, if you'd clean up my reputation, and I'm telling you, I felt it as strong as I've ever felt any conviction where God said, I don't need your reputation to build a church. I need your obedience. And you didn't ever have a good enough reputation. I turned around, I went back, and I told my wife, I said, okay, we'll do it. And I felt like Jonah going into Nineveh